Well, we're back from training in Orangeburg, New York, where there was a Raul Gustavo sighting. We'll have some more on that. As New York City prepares to meet DC United at Yankee Stadium on Saturday. DC United, there's 30 teams in MLS. Only one has been eliminated from playoff contention, and that's City's opponents on Saturday. That and much more coming up. NYCFC Views Live.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. NYCFC Views.
Collins approaches the shot, and New York City wins the first MLS Cup on their first try, and they're going crazy. Tiene el tiro y gol! Gol! New York City es el campeón de Major League Soccer!
The sickest New York City FC podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And there's the sickest boy, Roberto Abramowitz. I'm Glenn Crooks, and we are with you again. Another week of our live pod, talking mostly about New York City FC, but we like to look at MLS globally, whatever happens to strike our fancy. Today, it was a chance to observe training, and a guy who got in, we should kick it off this way, Roberto, just got in 48 hours ago, flew in, first full training session today, is expected to be in the squad on Saturday, Raul Gustavo.
And it's good to see him, right? He looks like he's pretty tall, doesn't he? From a distance. We didn't get the close-up version. Then again, for you, that might be everybody's tall.
Well, for me, yes. 6'3", very. Yeah, he's 6'3". And as I always say with those that are 6'3", he better be damn good in the air. Now, Pascal Janssen has told us that indeed he is. And who should know better than Pascal Janssen, who coached him many a game at Ferencváros in Hungary. And but Raul Gustavo hasn't played much in recent times, so he's going to need some time. It's really kind of a perfect entry. Now, not so perfect, the fact that the MLS calendar, when there are transfers in the summer, they have such little time to acclimate. There are so few games left in the regular year that, it's very difficult for all these guys. That's always been the standard, and to me, it's one of the major factors in moving to the FIFA calendar, which I'm sure is going to happen in the next couple of years. But he gets this international break. It would seem doubtful he'll play on Saturday unless it's an emergency. But then he's got the international break. Then they're off until the Chicago match, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we get to go to Chicago and see that team that has been up and down all season long.
Oh my gosh!
That's fighting for a playoff spot. So, everybody's fighting for a playoff spot, including New York City. Now, their odds are pretty good for New York City because if you look at the standings, you go, "Oh my God, they're eighth, and only 9 teams, and it's a play-in." But then you look at standings closer, and you go, "Oh wait, hold on." New York City's played 2 less games than everybody except Inter Miami. I think there's one other team that's played Columbus, right? They played 1 less game than Columbus. And then you look a little bit closer and you go, wait a second, with a couple of victories, they're 4th. So, it's really all condensed.
Yeah. The games in hand always, I struggle with that because that's what people are leaning on. Well, they've got 2 games in hand. Well, if you get 1 point out of those 2 matches,
it's not good.
It's not very helpful.
It's not good.
So you have to record the wins there. But look, let's face it, they're in good form over the last game plus 75 minutes. Because the first 15 against Nashville were not good, but came back to win that game 2-1. And then, a pretty decent 90-minute effort, you'd have to say, at FC Cincinnati, who going into the day were fighting for the Supporters' Shield lead. They led San Diego in points, and then Philadelphia at the end of the day ended up, being at the top of the Supporters' Shield table. But
it's interesting your take on this because you said it was like one of what was the quote you just said about the game? It was what? It was a good game. What was it? Did you just say?
Decent game.
How did you qualify it? Huh?
A decent game.
It was a decent game. And I thought it might be the best game of the season within MLS for New York City. And when I asked Pascal after the game, he said top 3. And for you, only a decent game. Your standards are extremely high.
My standards are high. And one of the reasons I look at it in those terms is, look, it's a road game. No, I mean, when you look at when you just look at the face value of a win, I never look at wins and losses. I look at procedure and how it was played first. I do care about wins and losses, obviously, with the team I cover as well. I should. I understand. The more playoff games, the better, for us, but and for the team. And as Kevin O'Toole said, because I said to Kevin O'Toole, I said, we want to get into playoffs because, if we get into playoffs, then we get a little extra in the bank for every playoff game. And then he said, yeah, same for us. So it's like
it's an incentive.
Everybody's got the incentive to get into the playoffs. But no, it's a wonderful result, and the decent because could have scored more goals. Had a couple of chances, and having a big time goalkeeper in net, and along the way I've had to wait for Matt Freese to see what I've really thought since his arrival, but he has been sensational, and he did just enough to make it a clean sheet and give Alonso Martínez time to finish, and and part of the reason I might say decent is because Alonso Martínez, from about 3 yards out, put it over the bar.
Yes.
Poor Tavon Gray. That was an unbelievable. He underlap, got there, well-timed pass, gets to the byline, cuts it back perfectly. And
I hope that Tavon doesn't have a clause in his contract that he gets a bonus per assist because Martinez is going to owe him.
Well, if anybody has access. I'm saying this now. I'll try to put it up on social media or at least on NYCFC pregame live or something. There's a photo of Martinez in the net, just sitting there with his head down. I'm not sure who took the photo, but I don't know if it's Tommy or who it was. But it's a classic. It is a classic.
And you feel for guys, who miss that. When they're that close, it's hard. It's really hard to get those balls down. I mean, there are some players, and I think who had one that was just like that, that was similar to that. It was Holland. I forget when, not too long ago. And what he did when the ball came across, and now it wasn't as hard as this cross was because it was a driven cross and all that. But Holland manages to be above the ball and hit it down into the ground. And that avoids him getting under the ball and skying it, which is something that Martinez couldn't do in this occasion. But you got to feel for him. You know that he wanted to jump into a hole someplace, and he wound up jumping into the net, but everybody could still see him right there.
Well, that would have made it 2-0. So let's reverse the order. So we're going to get to the Martinez goal, but then it's still 1-0. And then Matt Freese had to come up with his big moment. This is the 90th minute against the reserve Valenzuela, as heard on the Spanish side of the New York City FC network.
Se ha perdido mucho tiempo y eso favorece a New York City. Aquí viene Vander y centra, cabezazo, remate de Valenzuela, parada de Matt Freese que la saca del ángulo. Genial Freese. Muy bueno el intento de Valenzuela. A centro, jugada preparada de Cincinnati, de Vander, centro de Vander.
So, again, a late save by Freese, and part of it, that 6'3" frame, he's got that big wingspan, but he got into the upper left corner, and, not everybody's going to make that save. I don't put it in the spectacular category, but it was a very good save at a critical moment, and that's where Matt Freese has come through at critical moments. And
that's why they have to come through, right? I mean, that winds up preserving the victory for New York City. I mean, it was a great cross. Valenzuela got his head. He put it on the upper 90, and Freese got there. And he was able to make a fantastic save. And that's it was game saver, 2 point save there.
So I know we've had this. Sorry for interrupting, Roberto. So I'm going to close out and come back in. I have the same problem. I went back into my settings. So if you could vamp on Matt Freese for a little bit, as the U.S. men's national team. How about talking about the 3 goalkeepers, and then I'll get right back to you.
All right, we'll see what we do. But anyway, Matt Freese has been spectacular for New York City. When he came from Philadelphia, we really didn't know what to expect. The only, I guess, games that we really got a chance to see a lot of them was when New York City played Philadelphia, and he was in goal for Philly. And that was a game that Philadelphia, the Union, had, 11 players out because of a potential gathering of players during COVID, and somebody was sick and seemed like everybody else got sick. But he was in goal for Philadelphia for that game, and then Talles Magno won it at the end for New York City. But he's been a godsend for New York City. Remember that first Luis Barraza, who New York City faces this weekend, was the starting goalie, but once Matt Freese got a chance, and Barraza opened the door by, having not so spectacular games for a while, he showed what he can do, and he has just been absolutely outstanding. He is a fantastic shot stopper, and he puts himself in very good positions to be able to cover the goal. And it was very, very evident in this game in particular because they had their chances, and Freese came up with very, very big saves, including that one on Dado Valenzuela at the end of the game.
So happy to be back. First half, Alonso Martínez hits the post that could have made it 1-0. But then in the 55th minute, first it's my call and then Roberto's call on the game-winning goal.
City has it with O'Neal. O'Neal on the turnover, gets into Maxi Morales. Here's Alonso Martínez running ahead of the field. Can he score? Yes! New York City opens the scoring! It started with Aiden O'Neal to Maxi Morales to Alonso Martínez. And in the 55th minute, New York City takes the 1-0 lead. Martínez has not gotten free often here in this match tonight, but it was Aiden O'Neal. The ball was played into his territory, and rather than receiving and playing it, he intercepted and passed with the same motion and got it forward to Maxi Morales. With pace, Morales turned, and he found Alonso Martínez. If there were ever a 2-assist goal, that'll be it. Martínez, the finisher, his 14th of the season.
And league-leading 8th game winner. That is so impressive.
Without a doubt. And he passed he passed Denke, right? Who was who he was tied with. So Denke did not get a winner. Martínez did.
Well, and Aiden O'Neal and the center backs did a good job on Denke and Evander for the most part. Evander still got loose a couple of times.
Yes.
Freese had to make a very good save. That's the impressive part about Freese, too. It's hard to make you vamp on Freese so long. But he got that one save on Valenzuela, the game saver, high up into the left corner. The Evander save in the first half, he had to go down low off a short hop and parry it out for the corner. I mean, to be able to do both at his size, I mean, that's part of the impressive technical nature of Matt Freese, and he is a presence in there. So here's Roberto's call on the Alonso goal.
Aquí un balón medio apretado que gana New York City. Ahora viene Morales, viene para Martínez por el centro. Martínez se lleva uno, se mete al área, tira. ¡Gol! Número 14 en otro contragolpe relampagueante de New York City. 1-0 el marcador al minuto 55.
Y es exactamente eso. Alonso Martínez puede no trascender, puede no figurar, puede no tocar la pelota durante un periodo largo de tiempo, pero cuando aparece de esta forma. Gran carrera, gran gol, gran definición, gran visión de Maxi al lanzar esa pelota profunda para que el tico vaya corriendo. Un tico que va por el récord de ser el costarricense más goleador en una temporada de Major League Soccer. Está cada vez más cerca de conseguirlo.
All right, I heard Tico a couple of times in there. And
let me tell you what it is. What he was talking about is that he's closing in on being the historic leading scorer in MLS in a season for goals for a Costa Rican. So Álvaro Saborío, remember him? He was with Real Salt Lake.
Yeah.
18 goals. That's his. So now Martínez with 14 is only 4 away from being able to reach him. So it's a nice race to see if he can do it. And what does he have? 8 games to go?
Yeah, that's good. And Ariel also told us this morning that on Costa Rican TV last week, they've been joking, calling him the Tico MVP. That's he is a jokester, a more pleasant guy you'll never bump into at the training facility. It's not possible. He's just a good guy, and
He's a ray of sunshine. He really is.
And he's left a few goals on the table, but I'll tell you what, 8 game-winning goals. I think you could look at his expected goals and go, "Come on, man!" But it's like, when you win 8 games, no,
you don't argue. And good goal scorers are going to have that because they're going to wind up finding opportunities that most other center forwards just can't find. And so some of those are going to be difficult and maybe a little bit more difficult than your average. Some of them are going to be tap-ins, but because he's always there, it's he's going to be in position. There's something that I want to talk about too about Martinez, and it's this. You credited O'Neill, and you were great on that, and we both, gave Martinez, Morales his kudos for the pass. But that whole play starts on a throw-in for Cincinnati. And if you go back and look at that play, and you look at it from that perspective, the reason the turnover happens is because Martinez makes a run at 3 different players from Cincinnati, and he forces the last bad pass. He's the one who forces that bad pass that O'Neill intercepts, and he gets it. And the minute that O'Neill gets the ball, he just scatters going forward. And then it's O'Neill to Morales, and Morales finds him with a perfect pass, and he's able to beat Engel.
Well,
he beat him by speed. He beat him by strength. And then he was calm and cool with the definition and being able to put that goal, in and scoring. But he started the whole thing.
Well, today I was anxious to talk to Pascal Janssen about Aiden O'Neill. So Aiden O'Neill now has played just a little over a dozen games with New York City FC. And he, against Nashville, we've talked about that in the past. He really helped create that game-winning goal. And obviously on this occasion as well. So here's a couple of minutes with Pascal on O'Neill and the midfield. Pascal. Aiden O'Neill, he's 13 games in now since his arrival. DC United, the first time you played them 0-0 down there, was his 3rd game. He came in as a reserve. Yeah. Especially the last couple to 3 games, there seems to be an effectiveness that he certainly helped provide the Nashville game winner as well, recognizing things. He just seems to be seeing things a little bit earlier, and then we see his passing stroke is exceptional.
Yeah, we're very happy that he's making progress in this direction. This is something that we spoke about from day one when we met before going into this project, and how I saw him within the team. And then once he's in, it starts. You get to know each other. You start to train with each other. He has to get familiar with his teammates. So at that point in time, if you remember correctly, we were also still in a moment where we were using Keaton Parks, yes or no. So to pair him up with somebody in the middle was also part of the discussion. But since he and Pepe are joined together, you could see they're very connected. You see the chemistry between both of them. So that is something that we work on, obviously, on training as well. But it's very joyful to watch when it all comes together in games.
Just watched an interview with Cesc Fabregas. So what he said was 60 to 70% of the battle that's won in football is in the midfield. Is that, are you on that page?
Yes, I'm reading the same book.
But why is that?
I think Fabregas is also, he was brought up in one of the best educational systems in football, La Masia. You can see, and if you understand the game and you approach the game like we do, you know that you have to dominate the center part of the pitch, in and out of possession. So when you have guys that understand the game and are able to stay stable on the ball and play possessional games like we try to do, and the same goes for Como at the moment, that's when you dominate your games.
All right. Great to hear the Dutch come out of Pascal Janssen. If you understand the game, you know why the midfield has to dominate. That's fantastic.
And New York City has a pretty good midfield.
Yeah, and it's a really good point that he was trying to find a partner for him because of the Park situation. Johnny Shore played with Aiden O'Neill at first, and then Andrés Perea got healthy and became more consistent, and they're a lock right now. And then
you forgot one main guy. Justin Hack started out in midfield this season.
Not with Aiden O'Neill. Stop. Not with Aiden O'Neill. We're talking about Aiden O'Neill.
No, not with O'Neill. No. I'm just saying that in general.
No, I'm not talking in general. I'm talking about partnership with Aiden O'Neill. Fine. It was Johnny Shore, Parks every now and then as they tried to figure it all out, and then now it's Andrés Perea. But what happens with Justin Hack and Raul Gustavo, and Gustavo becomes an integrated part of the community? Will he be in the 11? Will he be off the bench? How is Pascal going to use him? He had already kind of talked about his versatility, but he even added wing back today when we were talking to him.
Yeah.
So he could play anywhere on the left side, center of a three, left fullback, left wing back. And so we'll see what I don't think we're going to see him at wing back. That's my guess, but we'll see.
No, but I think that he'll get a run. I don't know for how long, but I think he'll get, depending how the game is going, and but I think he'll try to get him in for 10, 15 minutes.
I don't know. Yeah, it definitely depends on the game. If the New York City doesn't have at least a 2-goal lead, we're not going to see him. So that's the way I would look at it. Maybe even 3-0, because you've got that international break to get him really ready. I mean, the guy just got here. I mean, he's probably still jet lagged. Now, he came in from Manchester. He's been working out in Manchester. We don't know to what effect. Is he training with youth teams? I don't know, and we don't know. But he's been trying to stay fit in Manchester.
How did Aiden O'Neill make his debut? How many training sessions did he have?
I don't know.
One. He had one training session. He came. It's the exact same situation that O'Neill came in on.
No, it's not the exact same. It's not. Aiden O'Neill was coming from playing. He was in shape. Raul Gustavo's barely played, man. He played 1 minute in the last 10 games of Ferencváros, and 1 minute in the last 10 games, and that was a while ago. He's been in Manchester doing whatever. He hasn't played in a game, man. So I would love to see him for 5, 10, 15 minutes, but I don't think it's going to happen.
All right, we'll see. We'll see. You were right on the last one, so I'll defer for now.
Okay.
Until I can come back and
for the record, I'm almost always right. So let's just get that on the table. Yeah.
We have a good question here. So hit him with a clothesline. Nice. What do you call it? Nice handle there. Is there any update on Perea? Yes, there is an update on Perea. And that is, it's really good news. So he had an MRI and it came back negative, and he's been training and everything's been fine. And so how did Pascal put it? Unless he wakes up tomorrow and is in pain, which he was like joking about, he's back playing. So it's great news. Great news.
That is great news. And thanks for bringing that up. Do appreciate that. As far as Aiden O'Neill, I did want to make one point. There's a player on DC United that'll start the game tomorrow, most late, or Saturday rather. He's started 25 of 27 games. Kai Rolls is his name, and it's Aiden O'Neill's roommate with the national team of Australia. And they've also played some club ball together. So both 27 years old, so they've known each other for years on the pitch, and they're good friends. I thought it was a very, very nice story that they live close to each other in Australia, so their families sit together, go to the games together, and sit together when they go watch the national team play at the national team stadium. So isn't that nice?
Pretty cool. That was a really nice story. Again, we talk about this all the time, and we talk about the importance of this. How good of a group New York City is, and there's rarely, if ever, like a sour note where there are either infighting or there are player issues and all of that. You just never see it. And one of the great things that the team has done, and obviously they've identified as something that's key for success, is having a good locker room. And there are no egos in there. Everybody seems to pull together, and it's great to see. And I think that's part of the reason of the success of the team.
Well, if you classify who the best players are, like the best players, it's like Alonso Martínez, Matt Freese, Justin Hack, Maxi Morales. I think that comes to mind like immediately. Maybe Hannes Wolf you put in there as well. But they're all, you can tell, they're all like, they don't sit around and think highly of themselves.
No, it's not. Everybody's down to earth and team first.
Yeah. It's nice. So DC United, I don't know how their locker room is, but they do have a new coach, Rene Wieler, who is from Switzerland. He's had an interesting coaching career. He's 51 years old. He's just a year younger than Pascal Janssen. But DC United is the only team to be eliminated out of the 30, Roberto. Their record is 4 wins, 15 losses, 9 draws. They've scored 24 goals, so they're averaging a goal a game. And they've conceded a whopping 53, which is, it's less than a goal a game they've scored because it's 28 games, 24 goals. And then almost exactly 2 goals conceded per game. So that's where they've been at. So I pulled a clip from today's press conference with their new coach just to they've tied their last 2 games. Now, look, they haven't won in 12. And as you pointed out earlier today when at the facility, 1 win in their last 17 in MLS. So it's obviously been a struggle, but they've tied the last 2, including Inter Miami, rotated squad, we understand, but still Inter Miami at Audi Field in their last match 1-1. So here's their new coach talking about, what they're trying to do.
Yeah, the team conceded a lot of goals in some of the games, so it's very important to play defensively, more compact, to help each other. And there is a lack of players scoring goals, so it's more difficult to score goals than to defend our own goal. But the players, they prefer to attack and not to defend. But in our situation, we have to do both. And for sure, first of all, to defend well.
The players prefer to attack and not defend.
Yes.
I'd say he sat and watched a lot of the games and we were like, boys, I could see his first meeting. Gentlemen, all of you that haven't decided you wanted to defend this year, that's going to change right now. And he also said a little later on that it sounded like, of course, they've scouted New York City, but they are so unconcerned about the opponent this week because he's trying to sort out who's good enough to stay. And he talked about, well, let's play the cut. Let's play it anyway, because I thought it was pretty interesting the way he talked about the transfer situation or potential transfer. So here's the next coach with the next cut with the new coach, Rene Wieler.
The main goal for me as new coach is to check out now the potential of the players and to analyze them very well, to be prepared for the next transfer window. We have to try to bring out more quality with our units, the daily units, with some exercise forms in the training sessions, and then we have to bring in some new players with better qualities in the next transfer window. That is the only goal I have, and I prepare now the next game. I have a look to the players and their qualities, and in the same time, in the background, we try to do our job we have to do for the next season.
Yeah, so everybody should be on guard.
Oh, hell yeah. There's no guaranteed positions on that team. None.
Benteke didn't play last week, and the assumption is he's going to be out there. That's the way everybody was talking at this press conference earlier today, DC United. So I maybe bad on us that we're not quite sure why Benteke didn't play, but he's expected tomorrow.
Well, I've tried to find out. First of all, DC United hasn't published their notes yet. In the recap on their website, they didn't mention anything about him playing or not playing. On FOTMob, there's no mention of him at all as being either injured or suspended. Yeah. So I really, I haven't done all the deep dive that I would normally do this early in the week. I normally try to get everything done or as much done the day before or the morning of a game because everything's fresher in my brain at that point.
Thank you, Roberto, for your assessment on that, because when you say it's early in the week, it's not early in the week. But go ahead.
For me, it is. For me, it is.
Well, you're still sleeping.
I don't think so.
Well, you sleep later than anybody I know. You sleep later. Old guys like us are supposed to get up like at 5 and 6 in the morning.
What is freaking wrong with you?
Well,
Have you seen doctors for that
condition? Take a poll of all the people that are like in their mid-60s and see what time they get up.
Hey, let me just tell you this, okay? You know, some of us have some health issues as well, and it makes us get up several times during the evening, or during the night. But the good news is that I can actually fall back asleep. So that's fine. Sometimes I'll wake up at like 6:30, 7 in the morning, can't fall back. It happens, but on a nice day like today, the alarm woke me up at 9.
Okay. Well, welcome to the day, and so that's the setup here. DC United, and I put I'll have Pascal on my pregame show, which will air at 7:15 on Saturday night. Always welcome you to listen to the full portion of it. I can't play all the whole interview here, but I really pressed him, and you were there. I pressed him about going up against this DC United team, not letting up. How do you motivate? Because as coaches, it's always like, look, you can't take this team lightly. Yeah, we know that, but we also know that the players are looking at like they're probably laughing, when they look at the standings and see how many goals they've conceded, and they're already out of the playoffs, and they got a new coach, and he's talking about not even getting ready for us, and.
Yeah, but those are all, that's coach speak. I don't believe for a second that they're not preparing for New York City FC. I just don't believe that for a second.
But I'm saying what I'm talking about New York. I'm talking about the psychological aspect of getting any team, not just New York City against DC United. I mean, everyone has struggled with it because you say these words, they don't register. I'm telling you. 1,000% they don't register. I need a sports psychologist to tell us what do you do to motivate? And the one thing Pascal said, he didn't talk about motivation. He didn't talk about you got to be ready for them. He just talked about preparing every day exactly the same from the start of preseason, and you hope that it just carries in. But he's also mentioned that these are 10 finals. And so he's passed the first 2 finals. The first final left a lot to be desired with the way that they started, but they finished well. And we talked about this during today's press conference. The second game, which was against Cincinnati, the team was, on the front foot from the beginning, which is I asked O'Neill about it and I asked Coach about it. And they both basically came back and, said the same thing, that they, that everything was, right in line where they should be. And, this is the third final. And they have to come out with the exact same sort of motivation. I even brought you're saying that, yeah, it's all words. Everything you're saying is words. What they said today is words.
The point is,
the point is how will they play this game? This game, I'm telling you, Roberto, they should win it 3-0 going away. 3-0. That's it. That's what I'm telling you. That DC United is not good. They're poor. I know they have a new coach. They're going to be organized, more organized defensively, no question. So they will be harder to break down, I would assume. But this is a 3-0 game. You're at home. And
yes,
no question.
That's what it should be. Right. That's what it should be. I agree 100% on
I don't want to hear
this.
any words. Just do it.
No, yeah, I know, but it's easier said than done, as they like to say.
That's my point. But anyway,
yeah, but
no one
thing
will be able to
that
this happens in every sport. How many times in the NFL you do a game?
Yeah,
the next morning, hold on. And the next morning you read, and one of the coaches will say, "Oh, we weren't prepared," or "They outworked us," or it happens everywhere. And sometimes I just feel like there's no explanation. And you could go like, well, they get paid a lot of money. How could they not be prepared? And this is the conundrum. How do you solve this? And I've got a new show. This is my show. I'm going to get 3 or 4 coaches together and we're going to talk about this crap because it's really, it's almost like, no, I don't want to compare that. That's a little bit too morbid, but it's words. So let's just get it done. I don't like the word.
Okay, so that's why I brought up. That's why I brought up during the press conference today the Manchester United loss in Carabao Cup, because of the fact that it's a warning sign for not fully taking an opponent that you should beat for granted. Right, that was the point of the question, and it wasn't. I wasn't trying to compare it. I tried to do my best to say it's not the same, and but there are similarities here as far as somebody who is favored taking advantage of that, of this superiority and being able to come away with with a proper result. And that's why I use that. And can he use that to say, hey, this is the crap that can happen to you if you take somebody for granted or you take somebody lightly. And in MLS, which is a parity league, and there really isn't that huge of a difference between top and bottom. But we'll have to see. The last time they played DC United, it was 0-0 in DC.
Well,
so it's not going to be easy. But based on everything, yes, 3-0 should be that should be the score. It should be a 3-goal difference: 4-1, 3-0, 5-2, whatever it is.
Because you should be carrying the momentum from how you're playing. So you've played 75 minutes plus 90 minutes. The way. In some ways you've been trained and effective, and they have controlled a lot of those games in those periods of time, Cincinnati and Nashville. So can they do it against the bottom dwellers, DC United? And I would disagree profoundly that there's not much difference between the top team and the bottom team. DC United is number 30. You're going to tell me that there's no difference between them and San Diego and Philadelphia and Seattle? Come on, man.
They beat Cincinnati. They have one win in 17. That second win in 18 was against Cincinnati on the road.
All right. Well, anything can happen.
Back in May. Back in May. They've had one victory in MLS since May.
Well, maybe they're due. Maybe I'm.
That's the thing.
Maybe I'm completely off here. They're due, and it's going to be 2-1 DC United on Saturday. So I don't know.
That would be horrific.
So they're the only team that's been eliminated. Now, one of these two teams probably will be over the weekend. Toronto and Montreal play each other. So if Toronto loses to Montreal, they're out. If also the Red Bulls beat Columbus, so that's Toronto's situation. So they could stay alive by either winning, or if the Red Bulls beat Columbus, they would stay alive either way. Montreal has to they have to beat Toronto, period. So if they don't win that game, they're out. And Atlanta is eliminated if they have a loss or a draw at Nashville and the Red Bulls beat Columbus. So Ronnie Dyla could be out of the playoffs. They're 4-12-11 is their record. And boy, in the West, I should mention that Philadelphia and Cincinnati there are scenarios that they can both clinch, as can Minnesota in the West. So that's all the playoff scenarios there. San Diego, the first team to clinch a playoff spot. They tied Portland. Thomas Mueller scored from the spot in the 14th minute of stoppage time on a very, very soft penalty. Vancouver winning it 3-2 against St. Louis. And then their GM, Fannin Steele, got fired after the game. And what else do I have here? Leagues Cup. So I didn't watch the second game.
To talk about that.
Well,
I did watch both games.
All right. I watched the first game, and I did not watch the second game. Just saw the highlights. So let's go. Inter Miami 3, Orlando City 1. Another, you could say, disputed penalty, but it was called. You couldn't overrule a VAR. Messi converted, and it went on from there. He scored, and then what's his name? Segovia scored, and there it was, 3-1
at the end. So that's the question, right? Did you think that was a penalty?
Well, no, it wasn't, but it's got that whole thing. If you call the penalty and you go to VAR, and you have to be certain, and there was a slight uncertainty because there was potentially some contact, but live, oh my goodness.
Yeah, there was the first angle, right, which is a live angle, didn't give you much, but they gave you a second angle that was like on the 18, which is a longer view of the defender holding on, and you could see that he holds on longer than in that first view. So it was a 50-50. So by the fact that's a 50-50, then I can't have a problem with it being called.
But those the game-winning goal by Messi and then the goal by Segovia, the combination play close to the goal, how tight all that was was fun.
Those wall passes, those 1-2s are just brilliant. Yeah. And then you see the defender. Why are you peeling off Messi when he passes the ball? When you know he's going to get it back. It's like the minute he passes the ball, you're like, oh my God, this is awful.
Roberto,
because he's going to get it back.
I had this conversation with Robin Fraser once. It was a couple of years ago. He was with Colorado, but it pertains to today. He said the amount of defending, and he talked about 1-2 defending, which is pressure cover, which is on a wall pass, on a 1-2, you stay with the runner, Messi in this case. He said the elementary defending that is not taught on the academy level, because everybody's worried about tactics and on the attacking side, and understood, we want to have flow in the attack and do all those things. Coaches, in many respects, have this. It's not a reluctance. It's more fun to coach the attacking side than the defending side. And part of the reason it is because players prefer training the attacking side to the defending side. 1-2 defending, you have to, that's like it's like a preseason, it's tough, but it's organization. And when you don't stay with a runner on a 1-2, that's defending 101. It should never happen. It should never happen.
It shouldn't happen. And the guy that it happened to was Araujo, who should know better.
Yeah.
He should know better. The minute Messi passes, he takes a quick little step to the left, and Messi, is off. And then by the time he gets the pass back, he's in all alone because he made that one little hesitation and step to the left, as opposed to just like, oh my God, he's going to get the ball back, and be right there and try to intercept the ball before it gets there. And he didn't. And he just let him go right through. Just horrific defending. Now, if you want to talk about horrific defending, the LA Galaxy last night, the goal that they allow, and it's Cuevas who is basically just like stopped there. It reminded me very much of the Thiago Martins Matt Freese game in Atlanta, where they're both like, Martins is trying to hold off and say, come for the ball, when he should have just whacked it out. Cuevas should have reacted to that ball like this and should have kicked it 90 yards someplace. But he didn't do that. And he hesitates, he stops. And so then the goalie's got to come out. And by the time all of that happens, the ball is taken away and Seattle scores. But they had a play like 3 minutes before that was identical. And incredibly, Seattle couldn't put the ball away. So the defending for the Galaxy was just horrific. And at the end of the day, they wound up losing 2-0.
Okay, we're coming close to the close of the show. Just one point about Seattle. 9 wins, 1 loss, 4 draws since the Club World Cup. A team since 2009 has won 4 U.S. Open Cups, 2 MLS Cups, a Supporters Shield, and a CONCACAF Champions Cup. That's a team out there in the Pacific Northwest that, for us on the East Coast, oftentimes gets at least slightly overlooked. We're not going to get to kicking it around, but I did want to mention the U17s. Maximo Carrizo, among the 21 players called in for a pair of matches against the Netherlands. Do I have that right? Yes. And I learned today that Seymour Reed, I just kind of asked him about Jamaica, but the U17s have been eliminated, as have the U20s. But he is on the watch list. So he was on the preliminary roster for the Jamaica senior team, which is going to be announced tomorrow. So I hope he gets a good night's sleep. But there's a chance maybe that Seymour Reed is listed on the senior roster for Jamaica tomorrow. So
that would be great. And then one other New York City player, Zidane Yanez, who we got a chance to see today. He has been called in for the Chilean national team, their U20s, and the World Cup, the U20 World Cup is in Chile. So he'll get a chance to play at home for the Chilean national team, the U20s. And then good luck to Zidane Yanez.
Yes, and then finally on the U.S. senior team, Matt Freese back in. And he has Roman Celentano. You saw them kind of conversing after the Cincinnati match. I think by that time they both knew they were going in.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Klinsmann is the third keeper. So no Matt Turner, no Zach Steffen. And Mauricio Pochettino said affirmatively that he does not have a number one in goal. That is not the case. So that is that.
I don't mind the team. There's been a lot of talk on social media about the team and why, certain players weren't called in, the Weston McKennies of the world. Some people still mention Gio Reyna and the whole thing. Now, Gio himself today was quoted as saying, I understand why I wasn't called in because I haven't played. I just got to a new team. I get it. But a lot of the fans don't seem to get that. But I don't have a problem with him using this window. I think it's his last window that he gets a chance to really experiment. So, Pulisic got called in, Weah called in, Balogun got called in at the end.
Here's who is not in. And this is where some of the dispute is. Cardoso, McKennie, Musa, Brendan Aronson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Joe Scally, Haji Wright, who's having a great start at Coventry to his campaign. Let's see, Mark McKenzie, Tanner Tessman, Aiden Morris, Tolkien, a little Tolkien, and James Sands. I wonder if he'll get back in the mix. And this would have been an excellent opportunity to get Sands in there, maybe.
But he hasn't played a lot either because he's coming off a horrific injury, although he did play for St. Pauli. And he started. I get that, but there's not enough games. And so at this point, he's seen a lot of those guys. He knows what a lot of those guys can do. And based on what they did in Nations League and based on what they did in Copa America, he knows that he does not have a complete team as it stands now. So he wants to see if there's anybody else out there who's going to raise his hand and is going to say, hey, I really belong here. And they say that by their play. There are going to be two very difficult games against South Korea and Japan. One of them is going to be here at Sports Illustrated Stadium, which, by the way, got a new field. Thank goodness, because the field there was horrific, which is rare, too, by the way, but something new this year. But I have no problem with the team that he called in. We'll see, what players get a chance to show. I'm happy that Alex Sendejas that got called in because I think that he's somebody who has played well enough to earn, a chance to make this team. And he's played magnificently for America. He's probably been their best player. They gave him the number 10 shirt, best team in Mexico, and he's the best player on the best team in Mexico. He's an American. Yeah, he deserves a chance to show what he can do for the national team.
100%. I was kind of surprised. I just forgot or hadn't realized Serginho Dest, if he plays in one of these two games, it'll be his first cap under Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah. Because he didn't get to play games, but at least he got to train with Pochettino. And then because he had just come back from a horrific injury, he told him, go back to PSV. And that's why he didn't play the Gold Cup. So he was one of those players who was there and they're like, go back, earn your spot, get your minutes, be a regular. And he's been playing fantastically for PSV. Fantastically.
Off to a good start.
And, sadly, Anthony Robinson, he came in as a sub for Fulham. He's somebody who this team misses desperately. I think that with Dest and Robinson, this whole team changes completely. Weah is back, which is good. We'll see.
Yes, we'll get a chance to see that in the late fall. And the final thing, the most Pochettino appearances, name the player. Little quiz for you.
I'll probably say Diego Luna.
Well, he's one behind Tim Ream. It's Ream and then Luna. Yep, 12 for Ream, 11 for Luna, and away we go. Roberto and I will have our pregame shows on the New York City FC Radio Network beginning at 7:15 on Saturday from Yankee Stadium in New York City playing DC United. Kickoff is at 7:40. Matty Lawrence and I at 6:30 Eastern will have our NYCFC pregame live, our live stream from Yankee Stadium as well. We'll all be there. Why not? All right.
I'll be there with Ariel.
Shane, thanks so much. And for Roberto, I'm Glenn. Have a good night, everybody.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast NYCFC Views on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.